Special shield throw. This will be an Ascendant Spectral Shield throw. I was unfortunately unable to create this build without using a ton of uniques. It kind of ends up being sort of like a wander in that a lot of the build is reliant on uniques. So it can be a little costly to create this build. However, it works pretty sufficiently without so, though it is significantly stronger in terms of single target and endgame stuff with at least it will be in my mind as far as that with using these uniques. So I'm using scions. So I'm going to be using the way that Special Shield Throw works is the projectile, and then it breaks off into shards. So the original shield will hit and do damage, and then the shards will splash out in a radius around the shield's initial hit and hit any targets that are around it. The shards can pierce, however the initial shield cannot. The initial shield can only chain, which means it can bounce between things. I am not Captain America, I do not care about that. I am not going to be focusing on bouncing my shield around places. I will have one additional chain, however I will not be devoted to chaining and bouncing between mobs. Instead, I want to have a nice explosion effect. So I want to throw my shield in and watch it explode in areas and packs and kill packs instantly. That's my goal with this build, and that's what I focused on when I developed it. So I'm heading down. I started with the projectile damage and dexterity. We head through all of those nodes. We also grab early resist and this one jewel. Now you can my jewel choices, because Survival Secrets is an incredibly easy jewel to get, as you will get it for completing the mission in Act 2 for bringing the golden hand back. It's incredibly easy jewels to get, so I just used it because it gives me extra mana regen as well as elemental damage. However, you'll probably be able to grab some extra abyss jewels that are stronger, or just basic jewels that are stronger, and you have no problem filling those in for them instead. This is just what I simply chose to do because it's easier to get and it'll be just a basic start. So heading down, we're going to grab Sentinel. This gives us invasion rating as well as extra LRES. We're going to head to the Scion Life Wheel and grab everything involved with that, including Path of the Warrior, which gives us increased physical damage as well as armor and some strength. But we're going to grab the entire Scion Wheel. This will head down and grab our second Survival Instinct jewel. If you have it there, if not, you can skip over that until you have need for that. It's just a jewel socket here, so you'll be fine. This is where, once again, my build takes a split. So again, I will head to the left first, and then I will head to the right, and discuss everything that's involved with that. So heading to the left, we have Art of the Gladiator. That's the first notable we'll come up to, which gives us attack speed as well as accuracy rating, as well as ignoring all movement penalties from armor, and gives us some dexterity. We want to also grab mana flows as well as bravery, so we give increased life as well as extra evasion and armor, and we are also grabbing some extra mana as well as mana regeneration rate and some extra intelligence. We're going to be heading down, grabbing the entire Free Boat's ring, because once again, Spectral Throw has two forms of projectile damage in the initial shield as well as the shards off of that shield. This projectile wheel gives us some really large dual use. Then we'll be heading left and grabbing all the Defiance tree, ignoring the extra defenses because they're not entirely necessary. However, the physical damage from attacks while using a shield is entirely necessary, so we're going to grab all of that. We're going to ignore Master Arena because we don't need melee physical damage, we don't need melee weapon since it's not really a melee weapon, and we don't really need anything from that. This is the last place we'll be able to grab our jewel sockets. At least this is where I grab my jewel socket. You can also grab one over here. However, this is where I chose to grab mine for the extra strength. We'll then be grabbing Golem's Blood, which gives us increased maximum life as well as extra life regeneration. And then we'll be heading down and grabbing Retaliation, which gives us more physical damage with attacks while using a shield, as well as giving us some extra increased damage with elements while holding a shield. We're going to grab Cloth and Chain for the more evasion rating as well as elemental res, and this is going to be the first of 6 of our frenzy charges, 6 extra frenzy charges we'll be running. You start with a normal of 3, so we'll be having 3 extra ones involved in this build. Heading up, we'll be able to grab Finesse, which gives us increased attack speed as well as more accuracy rating as well as more dexterity. We're going to grab everything over here for increased life as well as some more evasion. We're going to grab precise interception for more physical damage, as well as some extra defenses with our shield. And we're going to grab both Primal Spirit and Heart of the Oak, which gives us life, stun avoidance, life regen, mana regen, and flash charges. We're then going to grab Winter Spirit as well as Flash Freeze. Flash Freeze gives us increased cold damage as well as projectile speed and increased effective chill. And Winter Spirit converts our physical damage over to cold damage, which we will do 100%, because we will be immune to that. So it's incredibly important to grab this node. Our build splits a little bit more here, so we're going to head down first. We're going to grab Onslaught, which gives us increased attack damage as well as movement speed and attack speed. It also gives us increased evasion while we have Onslaught, which we should be able to do while we're just running through maps. We're also going to grab the entire Thick Skin, which is more life as well as a chance to avoid elemental elements. We're going to grab Fangs of the Frost, which gives us cold penetration as well as increased cold damage with attack skills and effective chill. We're also going to grab Point Blank because, once again, I want to just throw my shield and watch it explode. That's the goal. Because we are entirely immune to reflected elemental damage, I have no issue taking this, the confidence that I won't one-shot myself by using this. We're going to head up and grab Primeval Force, which gives us more elemental penetration as well as more elemental damage with attack skills. We're going to continue upwards and grab Herbalism, which gives us increased life recovery as well as max life as well as life recovery with Flask. We're going to grab another Frenzy Charge, this time making sure that we grab the increased evasion rating for Frenzy Charge. We're going to head up and grab Survivalist, which gives us capped cold res as well, or overcapped cold res as well as elemental resistance, as well as more evasion rating. We're going to head up again and grab Forces of Nature, which gives us even more penetration, as well as increased elemental damage with attack skills. We're going to grab Revenge of the Haunted, which gives us global physical damage, evasion rating, and max life. And then we're going to finish up the tree with Blood Drinker, which gives us more max life, as well as our last Frenzy Charge with Fanatic. So that's how the tree works out, as far as the pathing goes. So next, once again, we're going to be grabbing Alira, which gives us mana regen, crit multiplier, and resist. And then we're going to head into our Ascendancy tree, which as a Scion is the Ascended. So we're going to choose the Elementalist, which gives us our 10% penetration for elemental resist. It makes us immune to reflected elemental damage, which is important because we have 100% elemental damage. We do not want to be killing ourselves, so it's incredibly important, as well as 40% increased effective heralds on you. Now, we're going to be running 2 heralds, so we're going to get 40% effect both of those heralds that we're running, which will be Herald of Ice as well as Herald of Lightning. Shocks from hits will always increase damage taken by at least 10%, and we can summon an additional golem. We're also going to grab the Inquisitor, which gives us more critical strike multiplier. It gives us more damage penetration. It gives us consecrated ground, so we are immune to elemental ailments while on consecrated ground. And it also gives us a mini version of elemental weakness, where we can get 10% increased elemental damage for enemies around us. And we're going to just finish it off with Path of the Witch, because we just want the extra skill points. We aren't actually going to scale into any of the Path of the Witch nodes, so it's not important as far as that's concerned. Continuing on, we're going to head into our items. Once again, this is an absolute fest of unique items, unfortunately. This is just how I kind of worked out the build. We're going to start out with a touch of Anguish. This is our stat stick kind of ability. This gives us increased cold damage, increased physical damage, increased crit, as well as gives us a chance to gain Frenzy Charges, as well as giving us 1 chain. So give us skill chain, so we can chain a little bit without being too focused on chain. The next thing we'll be doing is grabbing a series. The way that Spectral Shield Throw works is that for armor or evasion, it grabs physical damage, and for energy shield, it grabs crit. So our build is going to rely on energy shield and evasion, so we'll get the flat physical damage from evasion as well as the crit from energy shield. This series is perfect for that, as well as giving us Curse Reflection, so we are unaffected by curses, and 16% increased effect of our curses. Since we're running a dual curse setup, this is incredibly important. It also gives us some extra elemental resist and some extra intelligence. The next thing we're going to be grabbing is Alpha Hollows, so that we'll be able to run a 3 offensive orb setup, which means we'll be running our third setup, which is Hatred, as well as our 2 heralds so that we'll be able to still have some mana left over to be able to cast our abilities. Incredibly important, really nice unique item, really convenient in this build. The next thing we're going to use is Cosprey's. This allows us to have an additional curse. It also gives our curses ability to apply to hexproof enemies, and it allows us to poison a hit, but that's not entirely important in this build. The main importance is the extra curse as well as the application hexproof enemies. We're then going to be having Hymn Sorrows, which gives us the maximum of, it gives us our 100% physical damage to cold damage conversion, because we do not want to be hit by cold damage. This is incredibly important. This ensures that we have 100% cold damage so we can run reflect maps. We're going to grab Brine Rods, which gives us increased physical damage as well as increased lightning res, as well as increased projectile damage. It makes us unaffected by shock ground, so we cannot get shocked on shock ground. We're going to run a Karai's Charge, which gives us extra accuracy rating as well as projectile damage and projectile speed, which is really important because we have a dual portion of both the shield as well as the shards being projectile, so getting a nice amount of damage from that. The last item we're going to get as far as gear is the Nomad Studded Belt, which gives us increased global physical damage, strength, dexterity, as well as extra elemental res while we have at least 200 strength, which I ensured that we had, and 47% increased projectile damage while we have at least 200 dexterity, which again I ensured that we had in this build. For flask setups, I'm using the Overflowing Flask, which gives us Consecrated Ground. It also gives us the increased charges for the rest of our flasks. I'm running an Ethereal's Promise. Just for the extra physical damage is chaos damage. And then the last thing I will be looking for is a Wise Oak. So that gives us damage penetration for elemental as well as some extra cap res. Once again, this build is still in its theoretical stage, so I do not have all these items purchased yet, and as I begin to purchase them and fill out this build and am scaling into, this will all be come back as a full build guide. For now, it's just a theoretical path. Now heading into our final thing, which are skills, we have Spectral Shield Throw with elemental damage with attacks, elemental focus, added cold damage, faster attacks, and slower projectiles. We continue on with Herald of Ice in our curse setup, which gives us Herald of Ice, Curse on Hit, Projectile Weakness, and Frostbite. We're going to grab our second Herald, which is Herald of Thunder, and we're going to grab our Aura, which is Hatred. Now, you cannot run this before you cannot run all 3 of these before you have your Alpha Towel, so just be aware of that. You may want to run just Herald of Thunder and Hatred, or just, just Herald of Thunder and Hatred up to that point. Herald of Thunder can also run your curses off of it, so you should be fine with that. I'm running a Wailing Blades with faster attacks and Fortify. This gives me just the fortification effect. Is really nice to have for extra defenses, as well as faster attacks just allowing me to move around. I'm running a Lightning Golem as well as Flame Golem. Lightning Golem gives us increased attack speed, and Flame Golem gives us increased damage. I'm running Val Haste. I will be running Frostbomb. Frostbomb will not be socked up with anything. The entire portion of Frostbomb is for single target DPS, which gives us a nice amount of cold damage reduction, or cold resistances reduction for bosses and stuff like that. I'll be using Cackling Damage Taken and Mortal Claw. Once again, this will be level 1 and level 3 respectively. I don't bother with the levels because I know that you don't really want to have them over leveled and stuff just like that. And the last thing I'll be running is an Ancestral Protector with faster attacks. Ancestral Protector gives us increased attack speed, which is really nice for single target, as well as a little bit extra damage with single target. So this is how this build works. This is the second of my current league starters. I am well underway with both of these leagues. I've been somewhat distracted because I was focused on catching things in this league, as it is the Pokemon League. I'm very distracted by that and catching as many uniques as I can, but now I'm starting to focus more on leveling and getting towards the end of things, so I will be sure to have full build guides out once I reach endgame and stuff with that. But as far as everything, this is everything I have to cover.